Sensational Sunday, everyone. My goodness, what a beautiful day it is, right? A great day to say your gratitude. This is Furley Almonte, your host for Faces of Resilience. Every single week, I am so inspired and so stoked to bring on a new guest who will actually share their compelling stories with us to be able to empower each and every one of us listeners and find your own story in theirs. Today, oh my goodness, it's not every day that you meet somebody magnificent, somebody who would actually totally gel with you right from the get go. Because, my guess, you will soon find out why you would fall in love with her so very easily is because she's only not only gorgeous, but vibrant in spirit, and she also has a beautiful soul and super super smart, my goodness. Well,
Mhm.
before we go any further, first of all, I have to read a disclaimer. So the views and opinions are my own and not and also not are or the views and opinions are my own and including Valerie's, and do not reflect that of Essex and Sunblast Securities. Divine Asset Management is a division of Essex and Sunblast Securities. If you have any concerns, please contact your financial advisor for information regarding specific investments. Okay, now that we're out of the way, first of all, oh my goodness. When I had booked my guest for this show, I was not sure exactly what I was going to share with you because I feel like I have to do a series because she's full of so many encouraging stories. From a very very young age, she actually went into Wall Street and worked only as an order clerk for all of these financial advisors, and my goodness, after just only a couple of years, she was able to rise to the ranks of being a director. And she was able to build massive wealth. But life happens. And I will allow her to tell you that story and how she was able to rise from a dark place in her life, and also how she was able to create a new empire as a result. So, this is a story about hope and empowerment in so many different levels. Ladies and gentlemen, I could not be more thrilled to introduce to you my good friend Valerie Suarez, who is a partner and co-founder of Divine Asset Management with 28 years of experience in the financial industry. Valerie is focused and committed to create a safe and transparent place where people can share their goals, their concerns, and gain guidance to manifest their financial goals and build their own empire. Who does not want that? Well, Valerie, I told you she's a smarty. Beauty and brain she is. She holds licenses in Series 7, 63, 55, 66, life, accident, and health licenses. Oh my goodness, I told you. I am so impressed and I am so inspired by your genius, my darling. Hello, Valerie. Say hello to our audience.
Thank you, Furley. You're so sweet. Hi, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. Furley, I'm so grateful. I really appreciate you. And I'm so, thank you for that wonderful introduction. I'm like, who is this person? Who's this girl you're talking about? But yeah, thank you for having me on. I'm so blessed that we got to meet and that we were able to cross paths, and that brought us here today, and to be able to share some of what my experiences are with your community and with anybody out there on Facebook that's watching us. So thanks.
I first met Valerie's business partner. We call her Danielle Hughes, and she's so beautiful, and she spoke so highly, of course, of Valerie. I even got to interview her on the D Word, which is another podcast that I have, and of course, like, we were supposed to just have like maybe a 15-minute conversation, me and Val. And guess what happened? We ended up being on Zoom call for almost 2 hours, chatting like like long lost friends,
Yeah.
right? It's so
Yes, it was so great.
yeah, we just like she opened her heart to me. I did open my heart to her as well. And I did not expect that this incredibly beautiful soul has gone through so much in her life. And hopefully you'll be able to learn something from her different stories. Where do you even begin? Okay, well, you can give a brief summary of how you even started, with your job as an order clerk in Wall Street, and then boom, and then just
Sure.
give a little overview of what your life has been.
Yes, of course. So I moved here from Chicago. So I'm born and raised in Chicago, Humboldt Park, the west side of Chicago. And I came here in 1990. And my cousin, and it's funny because you said Valerie Suarez. My last name is Sanchez. But the odd thing is that Valerie Suarez is my cousin who is now Williams. She's married. But that's her last name. She's the one who got me my first job. So that's like a
Oh, I
Freudian thing.
apologize for that.
How weird is that? But in any case, so she had a job at a brokerage firm, and she asked me if I, was wanting to talk to this headhunter, and he got me a job at my first broker dealer, and I was an order clerk for the traders, and they made all this money and they made all this noise, and I'm actually very good friends with those guys still, but they were the reason that I wanted to do what they were doing, because it just seemed like, if they can do it, why can't I do it? And I don't think that you really, what you don't know, certain things, and that's okay. And I think that when you don't know those certain things, you're able to move forward without fear. And that's how I moved in the industry, right? And so I didn't know what I didn't know. And I just kept on working, and I went to another firm, and then I went to so it was my second firm, which really ultimately became the same place I was for almost 18 years, because they were bought by another place, and then ultimately it became UBS. But by the time I left there, I was a director in broker services. And I had a lot of experience, and I knew a lot of people, and I was a relationship manager, and I had been an assistant trader and a sales trader. And so an assistant sales trader, and it was always a different iteration in finance, but I loved it so much because I love people, and I love relationship building. And it was amazing until 2011 that I finally left all that behind. And Danny and I started Divine Asset Management, which is our firm now.
Hold
But
on for a minute, because there's
amazing.
something that I'm sure people are very fascinated about. Have being in an environment that's like with all of this loud,
Yeah,
like how do you call that? Traders, right?
traders, yeah.
They're all screaming on top, and they're all, I don't know, like they're all very powerful, very alpha type kind of guys, and here you are, you started as an order taker, and I'm wondering, how were you able to survive? It's almost like a sea of sharks around you.
Yeah, I gotta say though, even though it is an all male dominated industry and there were always guys around me, I always worked with really good guys, like really good people. And I guess for me, I'm thick skinned. I grew up on the west side of Chicago. I'm I don't take any crap type of girl. So
Okay.
I kind of just fit in. They dished it out, but so did I. And Danny and I were both like that. And so when we started at the same time in the industry, there weren't a lot of women, and the women that were around were not very friendly to us. So it was very interesting. So you had to, fit in, and we did. We were like one of the guys.
Why
And
was
so
that? Why would the women? Because you're all about women empowerment right now, right?
yeah.
But why were the women back then not nice to you when the men who you're supposed to be afraid of are actually nice to you?
Well, I just think that maybe the women felt a little intimidated, or they felt like it was a zero-sum game, and if I would win, then they would lose. And I don't believe in that. I think that there's enough to go around. I think that there's you're going to get what you give. And so I felt like they just did. I don't even think they even understood what they were doing. I just think that they never even thought about it. And that's okay. That's the way they operate. Not everybody's is that type of a connector, type of like an empowerment type of person. Um, but that's probably why Danny and I became what we became, and why we stand in the truth that we stand in now, because we want to be what we didn't see, right? I mean, we want to help other women get to the table of wealth, however they get there. And we want to be mentors, so to speak, for other women that are coming behind us, because why not? If we've already been there and we know the ropes and we have the experience, why wouldn't we share that? It only makes sense to me. And I feel like it makes me feel good to know that I'm empowering and impacting other people's lives, right? Because why
Yes.
not? That's the
And
question I always ask. Why
why
not?
when I met and interviewed Danny, actually Daniel Hughes is just Danny, and Valerie is Val. Okay, I saw their picture on their website, and I was just telling her, if please go to their website, because at Divine Asset Management, and you would see the picture of both of them. Oh my good, two stunning women, and like very gregarious. Like, I was like, oh my gosh, they're absolutely beautiful, and you can see that they're very confident in their own light, and that's the whole beauty of what you have and what you do with other women, is that just like in a garden of flowers, the flowers bloom regardless of they're the smaller bloom and they're bigger
Yeah.
ones, but they just stand beautifully and confidently in their own beauty. So that's exactly what you do. Now
Yeah.
you had, like you had this huge massive success from rising above the ranks, right? And now you say that you also now have created this business with Danny, but in between that actually has been really full of really many life empowering, life transforming, and how do you go, I don't even know how to describe, because you've been through so much that, like,
Yeah.
life changing. Okay, they're very life changing,
Yeah.
they're
For sure.
transforming, and empowering. Please take us to a few of your life stories that would, many people in our audience could learn from.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you. You know, when I left UBS, which was in 2011, really why I left was because I needed a break. I needed an out. I felt burnt out already. And it was because in 2010 in November, I received a life-altering call at my job. And what happened was that my brother's only son had been killed. And it was one of those unexpected moments that happen in your life where nothing ever goes back to how it used to be, and it just changes like from one second to the next. And then days later, my grandfather, who had raised us, because my dad wasn't really in the picture because he left when I was very young. My mom raised me, but with the help of my grandfather, my grandmother, were a Latino community where it's like it takes a village, right? And so everybody's together all the time. But he passed away. And so within a matter of a week, 10 days, I had lost two very important men in my life. And while this happened, I was also going through a tough time at home with my husband. He and I, and at that point in 2010, we were already together, like 18 years. And we were going through a separation. And so it was like my whole life was really turned upside down. And it really caused me a lot of pain and a lot of trauma. And months later, another uncle passed away, and it was just loss after loss, and it became almost unbearable. And so for me, I really couldn't cope. I couldn't cope, and it took a toll on me. And I think that my go-to became what was socially acceptable, and that was drinking. And so I found myself in a situation where I was just drinking too much, and it was becoming dangerous. And I wasn't myself. I was my children, and my relationship with them was faltering, and I just didn't even know what to do with myself. But I felt like it was the only way that I could suppress all the feelings that I was feeling. I didn't want to deal with all the trauma. I didn't want to deal with the grief. And um, it took a while for me to bounce back from that. But I will say that I did get help, and I wound up, seeking treatment, and I took time off, and then I went back to work. And it was like this spiritual guidance that I received that said, you got to leave that job. If you want to remain healthy, you have to step out of there and you have to start over. And I did it. I was obedient. It was scary, but I do have a higher calling. I know that it's something bigger than me, and I believe in God. And my relationship with him had gotten so strong. And so I did just that. And I left my job, and I left a very high paying job that when I left, my boss was like, "What are you talking about? What do you mean you're leaving? Where are you going?" And I was like, "I'm going home." I'm going home, and I'm going to go spend time with my kids, and I'm going to try to repair my marriage, and I'm going to stay healthy. And I never told them what I was going through, because I really never shared this story publicly up until this last, over the summer, just this summer. And this has been 9 years that I've been sober. So it was the time, it was what I needed to do at the
What
time.
happened to you financially during the time that you had to give up your massive success in the finance world then?
Well, it was tough because, I had some money saved, but I didn't have enough, like I like I needed, I thought I had some money saved, but you go through your savings quickly. And so, I had to take my 401k, and I had to really like cut down on expenses. And my husband and I did get back together, and we resolved, our past and our issues. And we decided that, we would probably move from our house. And so it was really starting over. I mean, I started over. Gratefully and thankfully, he's always had a really good job, throughout the years. And so we've always contributed, together. So it was never like I had to worry about not having a home or anything like that. But I knew that we couldn't sustain that lifestyle if there were not two incomes, right? And so we decided together that we would move out of the house. We rented it for a while to someone, and we downsized and we started again. And he was working, and then I went back to work in finance, but in a different iteration of finance. So I started working in personal finance, and I started learning that. And then, little by little, we built it back up. It was hard because I mean, it was super challenging when you're used to a certain income, and then all of a sudden, because of your own decisions. It's not like I wasn't fired or anything like that, but I made that decision to leave, and I knew that I didn't have like an actual plan in terms of another income. I just knew I needed a break. I just knew that I couldn't keep up that momentum. I couldn't travel like I was traveling, nor did I want to. I wanted to be with my kids. I wanted to be with my husband. I wanted to repair what was going on at home. And I knew that that mattered more than any money or any material could ever give me. And so you figure it out. You figure it out along the way. And my husband and I worked hard, and I worked hard to get back, to a place where I could make money again. And I knew that it was going to take me a long time to get back to where I was, because, and quite honestly, the market was different. When I left there, it was just different. So I struggled for a bit. We struggled, but we made it work. And here we are years later. So little did I know at the time what I was doing and what God was preparing me for was for now. And you just can't see the forest for the trees, though, when you're going through it, right? Because you're like, this is just too much. Like, what's happening? Why did I do this? Like, why am I so crazy? Why did I leave that job? But it's all for a reason. Everything happens for a reason.
First of all, thank you for sharing that story, because like I love, by the way, one of the things that I notice about you is that your calmness, the serenity that surrounds you right now is so beautiful.
Thank you.
I could just imagine the chaos that you were going through at that point, being burnt out of a job, and then now, with a marriage that's falling apart, deaths in the family, one after the other. Yes, what's a girl to do, right? There's
Yeah,
only so much that you can do, so you were just basically overwhelmed. But one thing I love about what you shared is the very same thing that got me through what I've been through in my life, because I've been through many challenges and
yeah,
tragedies as well. And it's our faith,
yeah,
because you have mentioned a number of times about how faith in God has led you to a higher calling.
yeah.
Talk to me about your higher calling. So when was that pivotal moment in your life that you actually realized that this was what I was born to do?
So I think that, it was after I'd gone through what I'd gone through, right? So when you have a traumatic experience in your life, and you're able to learn from your experiences, and that education is priceless, right? I mean, and I don't wish that on anybody, because it was tough. However, there's something about going through things that gives you a different perspective and the ability to be empathetic to people and to really understand things at a different level. So when Danny and I started Divine, you know, I know that that was the direction God was putting me in. I know it, you know, and the name Divine wasn't by accident either, you know.
Did you create that, or was that the name of the
So
company?
Danny had created Divine Capital Markets already before I got there. And then it was just the natural thing to do was to create Divine Asset Management, right? So that's how we went with it.
And
She
I
had
thought that
already
you
registered
call
the name.
yourself Team Divine.
Yeah,
I
so we're Team Divine, yeah.
love it.
And
I love
so,
it.
you know, I think that going through that stuff made me realize that if I'd had some guidance when I was making money, when I was, you know, bringing it in and it was coming in steadily, I would not have been where I was when I left because I would have had much more of a savings. I would have had a bigger retirement account, brokerage account, etc. But the fact of the matter was that I had no guidance. I had no one to ask. And the problem with that is that I didn't ask because I worked with a bunch of guys and I didn't want to seem stupid. I didn't want to seem inadequate. So I
Mm,
never asked the questions because they just assumed that I knew because I was in finance, but I didn't know. And I was afraid that if I said I didn't know, then I wouldn't be part of the pack anymore, or that they'd see me differently, or that that respect that they all had for me might go away. It might be diminished. And so I realized that I wanted to be that for someone. I wanted to be able to tell someone, listen, I know things can get bad and maybe you've made some missteps and maybe there are things about your finances that you're not happy about, but you can fix that. You can change what you do from now going forward. You know, you don't have to live in that past. You don't have to, you know, live now in the consequences of your decisions. You can alter that by small steps and healthy habits and maybe changing the way you're budgeting and eliminating debt. And so there's all these things that were in my head. Yes, I learned a lot through books and getting certifications and licensing, but I learned a hell of a lot more through the experiences that I had and having it all and losing it all and then having,
yeah,
you know, so I've
actually,
gone on ups and downs, you know?
I love what you said. First of all, like listening to you, it's like, okay, you knew exactly how to make money, but you did not know how to save it the proper way. And
Right.
one of the things that you said that was really like right on point with where you are right now is because of a woman, you were so afraid, you did not feel safe to open up and get that guidance that you now provide. So what you've been through actually allowed you to realize that there is a need for for a woman, for women,
For
right?
women.
Um,
Yeah.
to be able to create a space where people, who may feel a little intimidated because I don't really have a lot of money, and so they're embarrassed to
Yeah.
approach somebody like a financial planner. It's like, oh, maybe I'm not worth it because I'm not the kind of customer that they would want to work with. You
Right.
know? But speaking with you, it's like, oh my goodness, I said, like, where were you all my life? Where were you? you know, I'm sure many people, many viewers right now are probably saying, my goodness, we need Val, we need Danny, we need to be able to seek the help of women who are actually, who understand how we are wired, how we feel, and because we're wired very differently, and
Yeah.
I'm sure you agree with that, working with so many with
Yes.
because you have like years of, like, 28 years of genius that you have between the two of you, probably 100, like, because of the many years of wealth of information. And like, how many licenses do you even, like, I cannot even keep track. When I was like, oh my gosh, there was such a thing as like all the numbers that I have read. It's like,
Yeah, you know,
okay, I
we
know there was
we
like
have so much licensing. Yeah, well, we're highly regulated, as you know. So
I know,
we have
and
a ton of licensing. But but I still feel that even when you have all that licensing, there's still something to be said for the experience that you bring with it, right? Like, I I think that people can relate to someone that can be transparent and honest and have a raw truth about them, and maybe not for everyone, right? Because I may not be for everyone, but that's okay because then those are not my people, right? Like, that's just not my
exactly.
client. But there are people that require that need to know that they're safe. You said it before, and that's what we lacked in this industry. Was feeling a sense of safety, feeling a sense of they get me, because we felt like Wall Street, the narrative has always been, you don't know, I know, don't worry, honey, I got you.
People often
Nobody
think
got you.
people often they think that finance services, financial planning is only for the rich.
And it's not.
No, it's
Um,
not. Like, of course, I'm a late bloomer in that department as well. I did not understand it at that time. That's like I said, I wish I had somebody has taught me financial literacy, so that I would have better prepared, budget, things like that. And also, one of the things that's really very unique about you and Danny, that I have also noticed, because I've spoken to different finance experts, men and women, and
yeah.
I noticed I never felt what I felt when I spoke with both of you, because you were both very, the energy.
Thank
I'm
you.
sure it's hard to explain when you say, like, the energy is light. There is a very welcoming and kind demeanor about them that you makes you feel just at home, and safe, that
Thank
you'll
you.
be able to share what you feel is very, very private. And so that
Yes.
is really absolute amazing. And what I also love about your story is the fact that because of what you've been through, you realize the need for it, and why there is a need for somebody like you and Danny.
Yes.
Aside from that, you have also shared with me a very heart-wrenching story, that it was a medical condition that you have gone through, that
Mhm.
I'm sure a lot of women would be able to relate to. Would you care to share that with us?
Yeah, of course. So I had been experiencing all kind of weird symptoms, and I couldn't really put a finger on it because I would go to the doctor, and the doctor would take my blood work, and I would do a physical, and everything would come back normal. And they'd always say, "But you're fine." And I'd say, "I'm not fine. I feel a general malaise. I feel tired. I feel almost lethargic. My joints were swollen. I suffer from chronic migraines, although that hasn't really gone away. That was one of the big things. I had this intense fogginess about me, and vertigo and fatigue. I couldn't really walk too far. And so it turns out that I did some research, and I had breast implants put in back in 1998. So, when you first get breast implants, what they say to you is, well, if they don't hurt, they don't bother you, then they don't need to be changed. I didn't have any pain in my breast area. I didn't have any real uncomfortability until probably like the last year, maybe 2 years, that I felt like actual pain in the chest area and on the sides of my breast. And so I had my cousin's wife had posted something about a recall that one of the breast implant makers had, and there was there was an issue because they were saying that women were getting cancer from it. Um, and so it piqued my interest, and I thought I need to look at this because it just, I don't know, something made me click on that and look at it and read. And when I read one thing, I started reading another thing, and I was like, oh my God, this is crazy, because it had a list of symptoms, and it was probably a list of 30 things. And I could tell you that I had at least 20 of them. And I
Wow.
thought, man, this is not a coincidence.
How
And so
long were you
then,
suffering from all of those symptoms?
I'm sorry.
How long were you suffering from all of those
Oh my
symptoms?
gosh, it had been going on for at least, several years. I had
Oh, you're
probably,
kidding.
the thing is that there were probably things on that list that I had been suffering all along, and I didn't really realize it.
Mm.
So there was, like crazy things like, issues with urination, and issues with pains, in your joints, and a lot of bloating, like, or I'd feel like inflamed. So consistent inflammation, like in my face, on my hands, on my feet, and I just didn't know. And I thought, my blood work comes back fine. I never had high blood pressure. I never had anything like that. So it couldn't be things like that. My cholesterol was fine. My everything was fine. So I joined this group called Breast Implant Illness, or Health, Breast Implant Health by Nicole, or something like that. I can't remember now what it's called,
Mhm.
but it was on Facebook. And I believe that when I joined the group, there were about 30,000 members. By the time I got, by last year, this time, there were over 100,000 women in that
Oh my
group.
God.
And everyone in that group was sharing the same experience, the same symptoms. I mean, it was crazy. And at first I was like, but then it just made sense. It made sense. So I called a doctor, and he's a plastic surgeon. He was on the list of referred doctors that other women had gone to, and he was one of the few doctors that actually believed in breast implant illness, because a lot of doctors don't believe in it. A lot of surgeons will tell you that's not a thing, but then of course, why would they say that it's a thing if they want to just keep putting in breast implants, right? So it messes with their money. So why would they agree? And, pharmaceutical companies don't want to agree with it, right? Because then that means that their devices are faulty or something is wrong with them. And they're not lifetime devices like they sell them to you as. And so my doctor said, listen, I believe that most of the symptoms you have will go away if you remove your implants. And I thought, oh my God. And it was expensive. And I was very lucky that I was able to fund it. And in December of last year, I was able to remove them. It's called an explant surgery with an end block. So what they do is they remove the implant, but they also remove all the tissue that has built up around the implant. Because when you get implants, there's this tissue that your body creates, because it's a foreign device. And so it's protecting you from it. Well, it turned out that, I even had staph in one of my implants.
Wow.
And both implants had like dirt around the fill valve. It was just crazy. It was like those things were making me sick. I mean, like they were killing me softly, because every day I felt worse and worse and worse. And sure enough, got them out. Aside from the regular, pain that you feel when you first have a surgery, because it is a pretty big surgery. I maybe 10 days later, I started, seeing that my skin had cleared up, and the inflammation in my face had gone down, the inflammation on my legs and my knees and my joints and my hands. The foggy feeling went away altogether, because I could think clearly again. I felt like I was generally in a fog all the time. I couldn't find my words. That was another thing. I'd be talking and all of a sudden I couldn't remember a word. And I thought, my God, what is wrong with me, And ever since then, so it's going to be a year this December.
Wow.
Ever since then, I feel probably 80% better. And my migraines haven't gone away, because I suffer from chronic migraine, but I do believe that my migraines were more severe when I had the implants in. So, I mean,
I'm sorry, that your story on this alone, actually, like, oh my gosh, I hope you're taking notes if you have breast implants, because a lot of the symptoms that you shared didn't seem related.
no.
I think the reason why people would like say, so they, more often than not, the doctors would probably treat you for the symptoms that you're feeling, not really going down to the root of the problem.
Yes.
And the fact that you have even mentioned that you had staph already, that's like a bacteria that's already in around your breast,
Yeah.
that could slowly, just like what you said, kill you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And my goodness. And I was just also wondering, why is it that if that is something that's causing you illness, why is it that the insurance would not cover that?
Because it's still considered cosmetic, because the breast implant illness is not an actual term yet. It's not a real medical term yet. It hasn't been defined by anybody. And so, because of all the symptoms can be, a myriad of other sicknesses or diseases, they can never say that it is what it is. But listen, the proof is in the pudding. If there are 100,000 women in one group telling you that they don't feel well because of something, it's not some placebo effect. It's not like everybody's just like, oh yeah, we all feel better. It's real. They even have a term, and it's called the heel is real. And so they say it because you get these things out and you feel better. I mean, and the before and after pictures of women are incredible.
Wow.
And because I shared my story, because I went public with it right away, I shared my story, and I had two women say to me, oh my gosh, I've been feeling the same. I had a third woman have a whole conversation with me about it. And then she went and she got her explant done. So she removed her breast implants after we spoke. And then a fourth woman that over the summer was like, I need to talk to you. Tell me about your story. And then she said, that's it. I'm confirming it too. I'm getting them out. And she got hers removed too.
Oh
So
my
she was already well on her way
thank
to
you
get
so
it
much
done,
for
but I
sharing
was
that.
just more confirmation for her.
Oh my goodness. Thank you so much for that story, because I am sure, like, how do you call that, breast implant illness, right?
Illness.
So
Yes.
actually there is a Facebook group. So in case that you are also in a mysterious type of illness,
Yeah.
you want to look into this, because
Yeah.
I'm sure your story will change the lives of many, and or save lives.
Thank
Now,
you.
being of course a lot more shapely as a woman when you have the implants, how did you feel? Did you miss your boobs?
Yeah, so it was interesting because I was so sick that I just wanted them out. It was like to even the night before I was like, just get them out. I would cry to my husband, I just want them out. But I don't think I prepared myself for the emotional part of it, right? So, you know, when you look at yourself in the mirror afterward and you see the change, and you think about, I'm a couple years away from 50, so I'm very well aware that my body has changed, and that I'm not that same girl that got them, 21 years ago. But just the reality of, wow, I look so different, my clothes fit different. How does my husband see me? I just think that it was more of a mental and an emotional thing I had to go through. But I realized that it doesn't matter. It's like, again, like back to the money thing, right? The job making all the income. It doesn't matter if you have all that, if you don't have your health and your sanity and your peace. And so, again, I learned that same lesson. It was like a reminder. Hey, remember, you don't need anything. Your health and your family and your peace is what you need. And I'm so happy that I feel so much better that I don't miss it. I'm like, who cares? Like, really, at the end of the day, who cares? you know?
I love that. I love, first of all, listening to you right now. I'm smiling because I said, what a beautiful soul, because you had a lot of healing that you had to go through in your life.
Mhm.
There's the financial, there's the physical, there is the emotional, there's this relationship, the marriage healing part of it. Yet you had a lot of adversities that you've been through, and you just went through them, with such open heart, ready to learn how to restore your life, your relationships, and your finances, and your body. The healing that you've had, and the spiritual healing, most of all,
Yeah.
it's very, very powerful. I'd love to know. I was like, basically, this is a very holistic type of healing that
Yeah, it really is.
very holistic type of healing that you have shared with us, because I've said, like, here you are, like, first of all, the building of your confidence, that's one healing, and then creating this massive position, creating the wealth, and then like losing your loved ones, having to bounce back from it, and then of course going into addiction, and then being able to also mend your marriage after that, and then of course going through this, like, I mean, crazy journey of finding what's wrong with your body when your body is falling apart, and you don't know what's going on with it. And thank God for Facebook for that.
Seriously, thank God for social media. That's really what saved me.
Right? Can you
Really.
imagine? Would you have thought that you would find actually like the clue from Facebook? And like, so in case this is something that you're also wondering, if you have implants, it's
I think
breast
it's called
implant
Breast
healing.
Implant Healing by Nicole. So you can do a quick Google search. You may find her, may not, but you could reach out to me and I can invite you to the group if
Yeah.
that's what you want to do, or if you want to talk about that. I'm an open book when it comes to that because
And
I
now,
really want people to have to be healthy.
okay, your divine asset management. Just give us a little bit of like maybe a menu of services that you offer
Yeah.
that can help women.
Sure. So, Danny and I co-founded the firm together in 2015, and we're a full services financial firm. But what we do focus on is women and women's financial literacy. So we have an educational component to it all called Divine Wealthwise. And we have an online course that you can take. We have a group that we offer. So we have the Divine Wealthwise Woman, and that's a private Facebook group. But we also have events monthly, which Furley will be joining us this week as
Yeah,
our
I
guest
know.
speaker. And I'm so excited because we cannot wait to share Furley with our group. And of course, we offer financial planning. We offer wealth management, insurance. financial basically assessments and coaching. And that's the part of it, right? We say that we guide women to becoming their best, most enlightened financial self.
I
Because listen,
love it.
wealth is for everybody. Wealth is for everybody. And we should all have a seat at
And
the
we should
table.
have, okay, we're open to receiving abundance.
Yes.
I love what you said, like, creating an empire. That sounds so amazing.
Empire building. Yes, we talk about empire building. I mean, we're advisors that talk about meditating and and imagining the future you want to live into. What advisors talk about stuff like that?
Like guided meditation, and then like, but you're imagining also like your empire. I
Yes.
like that.
Yes.
Oh, okay, when you go to your Facebook group, do you have to be a member? Do you have to be a client to be able to be a part of it?
No, so the Facebook group is free. We've been, you have to be invited. Well, you can find us now. If you do a quick Google search or a Facebook search, the Divine Wealth Wise Woman, you'll find it. We just have
Divine
to
wealth
accept you.
wise.
Yeah,
Okay.
so it's two words, so three words, Divine Wealth Wise Woman. And we just have to accept you into the group. And that's really it. We ask that women come in with an open mind and an open heart and just share if you want to share and just try to be as active and engaged as possible because we're a community and that's what we do and we love to share information. You've been in our group now for a little while, so you see that I try to go in every day. I put in tips and
Yeah,
videos
I've watched a few of your videos. I love you though, because her videos are really short, but
short.
they're full of content and
Yeah.
like great tips. So definitely follow them. Now, how about the financial literacy part of it? Do you offer that? Is it a coaching program? Is that a paid program?
Sure. So the Divine Wealth Wise Transformation is online, and that's a 12-part series. So it runs you everything from the divine meditation all the way through to learning about what a sandwicher is. And a sandwicher, by the way, is someone who takes care of older parents and children at the same time.
Mm.
So every chapter is about something different in finance, and every chapter has, something for you to do, an action item. And you can find that online. It's $39. It's very reasonable.
Oh,
And if
very.
you want to continue working with us, then you can get either financial coaching or planning with us. And we're working on putting together a new coaching program that we really want to roll out, but it's still in its infancy, of us talking about content, etc. But that is something to be on the lookout for. But you can do financial planning or a financial assessment with us. And those are per hour. So we usually work on those between 4 to 6 hours for some people. Some of them go 6 to 10 hours, depending on how deep we have to go into your finances. The only thing we don't do is tax information or estate planning because we're not lawyers. And we're not accountants, but we do have people in our circle that we use as third-party resources that we can refer to if you do need that. And our social media platforms, we give away all the information. Basically, when you join our social media, you'll see anything we have on there, we're giving away for free. Even on our website, we have a page that we've just rolled out, and it's called Divine Tools. When you go on there, you will find a habit assessment. You will find a life insurance calculator or a retirement planning calculator. So there's all these different tools that we like to share with our group, with our audience, with our followers, clients, because again, why not? It's all information we have. It's all things we know, and we want to be able to share it with people that follow us because it's useful.
Yeah. Oh, that's amazing. First of all, in the investment, just even to follow the courses is like so minimal. Just imagine, like you're probably going to lose a lot more money by not knowing.
Yeah.
The lack of information and guidance actually will cost you a heck of a lot more money.
Yes.
So I
I
definitely
can attest to that.
right? So I would definitely invite you to first of all join the Facebook group and like go to the website and look out and take the assessment, follow the take the course, and then most of all actually create an appointment with Danny and Val because they will be able to guide you fully on how to create your empire and create serene life,
Yes,
because the
yes.
peace of mind You cannot put a price tag on the peace of mind and security and protection that you're going to have for yourself going
Yes.
forward. And that's something that we're even working on, collaborating on, because the whole idea is that how can we best serve, not just the women, but everyone around us by
Everyone. Yeah.
financial literacy and empowerment. And
Yeah.
together we're committed to actually just bringing value to humanity so we
Yeah.
can live in serenity. Woo, I like
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, Furley, what the problem is that we're not taught this stuff, right? Like it's not like we talk about it at home when we're young. I mean, most people don't. Most people don't have a parent discussing finances with them. You don't learn basic finances in school. It's not there's no course. I mean, you could take economics, but no one's teaching you how to budget and what credit is and how you pay that down and what happens if you get too much. So we want to be able to guide women, particularly women, but we do have men clients, by the way. We have male clients, and for me, I also want to guide youth, and people of color, right? So I'm a Latina. It's important to me that we all, can participate in wealth, and it's important that we all have the tools, right? Because it's not fair that you have to already be wealthy or already have wealth savvy people like parents or aunts and uncles or people in your family that can teach you this stuff in order to make wealth, right? We want everybody to be able to do it. And I think that there's this idea that you know wealth is about oh, I have to have money to be able to make money. Yes, that will afford you, opportunities, because that's how you can take opportunities. But wealth is about what you keep and not necessarily what you make, right? Because you could be making $2 million a year, but if you're spending $4 million a year, you're not wealthy, So we just want to change these conversations and change the narrative and help people understand that they have a money story, and whatever their beliefs have been throughout the years is what affects their relationship with money now. And so those are the things that we're talking about. And yeah, we have
so
solid
how do
financial
you
plans and
okay,
investing that we talk about, of course.
okay, so
Investing
those
is important.
people that I'm sure they're like captivated by what you are sharing right now and say like, oh my goodness, we need something like that in our life. So how do they make an appointment with you to be able to sit down with you and begin to create a roadmap on how to manage their money, have that better
Yeah.
relationship, and create their empire?
Sure, absolutely. So we have a calendar right on our website, and our website is www.divineasset, no s, asset, mgt.com. And if you scroll down, there's a calendar that allows you to make an appointment right online, or they can just call us, right? Regular good old fashioned phone, 212-344-5867. You'll get myself or Danny. Chances are one of us two will answer the phone.
Okay, repeat that telephone number again.
Sure. 212-344-5867. Yeah. And our social media too. You can get a hold of us through
And then
social media.
we're going to put also in the chat and the comment in here, www divine asset manage mgt
MGT, yes. .com.
mgt.com. So
Yeah.
like look at me, like I'm like ingraining it in my brain now. Okay, three quick tips on how to heal from whatever, actually, because you touch upon many different categories, three different areas of your life, three tips that you can heal from the different areas of your life and to becoming like a happy and serene and prosperous person.
So I'd say, from my experience with loss and grief, um, grief is real, and you have to get to the other side of it. And the only way to get to the other side of it is to, number one, feel it. Like you have to feel what you're going through, and talk about it. Get help. It's okay to say that you're not okay. That is so important. I learned that the hard way. It's okay to say you're not okay. In terms of your finances, healthy habits are important. If you can learn to do one healthy habit, save money or start paying down debt, whatever that is, if you do it consistently, you will make a difference. You will see that you will have positive impact, on your finances. And I think that number three is, keep your faith. For me, I'm just a believer that that God is, ever present, and that He's working in my life, and that whatever I'm going through is not in vain. Whatever has happened for a reason, because all of that has brought me here, and I'm continually evolving, right? I'm always learning. So stay teachable. It's important to stay teachable, because I think that every day gives us an opportunity to learn something else, so that we can show up better and be our best authentic self, for the next person and in the next day.
Oh wow, beautiful. I love that. Like, be teachable, stay in faith. It's okay not to feel okay.
Yeah.
Just honor your feelings, and
Yes.
also create new habits so that you can be healthy habits.
Healthy habits.
Healthy habits, whether it be financial, relationship, or physical, create healthy habits. The choices that you make actually will define what the end result will be,
Yes.
regardless. And every single choice that Val has made has been empowering, and has been, like, basically following her faith and the guidance, both divine. There's like the divine guidance that you have been downloaded with, basically allowed you to be able to bounce back from all the different things that you have been through in your life, tragedies. Yeah, and you've been through so many, and I am glad that you have healed. I'm glad that you're okay. I'm glad that you are have taken your life lessons and actually helped create to empower not only women but humanity. So thank you for the light that you are, and I am truly blessed to have you as my friend and colleague. And I could not wait to also be on your show, or meeting, whatever it's called. But like, I love that wonderful gathering that you're going to have virtually on Wednesday. I love that. And make sure that you follow them on Facebook. Make sure you book a time to um to review your finances, and so you can begin to live a life that is protected, and so you can have that peace of mind, because you know what you say, insurance is love.
Oh, yeah. Yes, for sure.
Insurance,
That is an act of love.
yes,
So we
yes.
should all have that as well.
Yes, yes. So, Valor, thank you so very much for your
Thank
beautiful
you.
soul and for sharing your story. Very heartfelt, very eye-opening on so many different levels. It was a struggle to actually keep it to 30 minutes. So I said it's okay if we go a little bit, because the lessons that you have shared, I'm sure will change your lives. So
Thank
I'm
you.
deeply grateful for that. Thank you so very much. And any last words before we go?
Well, I'm just so honored and grateful to have you in my life, because now, and I've learned the word frilicious.
For religious means heart-centered, soul-inspired, purpose-driven.
That's it. That's perfect. I love it.
Valericious.
But,
I have to come
well,
up with something.
well, actually, we have five principles, and the fifth one is nimblicious.
What does that mean?
Nimblicious means that you are remaining flexible and open to possibilities.
Oh, how nice.
Yeah,
Okay, on that note, live a life that's nimblicious.
there you go. I love it. Thank you.
Thank you so very much. Thank you so very much, Valerie Sanchez, for your light, for the lessons, and for inspiring every single one of us tonight to be able to heal from whatever we're going through in life.
Thank
Remember, be nimblicious, okay?
Yes.
And until then, this is Furley Almonte, your host for Faces of Resilience. I'll see you next week. Take care and live in life, live in love and in gratitude. Take care. Bye bye.
Bye.